Chapter 1. The Nameplate. I stood at the back of the grand ballroom, tugging at the sleeves of my poorly fitted suit. Today was my son's wedding, a day I dreamed of for over 20 years, ever since his mother walked out and left me to raise him alone. I worked around the clock, plumbing jobs during the day, grocery deliveries at night. There were winters when the heat didn't work, but I always kept food on the table. I never missed a single parent-teacher meeting. And now here we were, hundreds of guests, golden chandeliers casting warm light, champagne flowing like water, and a towering 6-tier cake that probably cost more than I made in a month. I didn't belong in this world of luxury, but I was proud until I saw the nameplate. At the family table, just beneath the shimmering Father the Groom label, sat my name, followed by a phrase scribbled in fake cursive with a gold pen. Low-educated fake dad. I stared at it, confused. It had to be a joke. A mistake, maybe. But then I heard the laughter from the bride's side. Her father, a retired university dean, let out a smug snort. Her mother failed to hide a smirk behind her hand. Two cousins leaned toward each other, whispering before bursting into giggles while casting glances in my direction. Heat rose to my face. I searched for Jason, my son. He was across the room, smiling for photographer, posing with his new in-laws. He hadn't seen the card. He couldn't have. I quietly flipped the nameplate face down and sat, trying to disappear into the chair. But the laughter kept echoing. Then I heard it, someone near me muttering, "What did you expect?" He fixed his pipes. Probably didn't even finish high school. My stomach twisted. I stood abruptly, ready to walk out. But just as I turned, a strong hand grabbed mine. Jason. He looked me in the eye. Silent, serious, something fierce burning behind his calm face. "Dad," he said, "let's go home." I hesitated. "Jason, your wedding." I said. He repeated, "Let's go home." The music cut off. The DJ froze. Guests turned to stare. Jason looked toward his bride, then at her family. His voice was clear and steady. "You just made the biggest mistake of your lives." He didn't yell. He didn't explain. He simply walked out, me beside him, into the cold night. And the next day, everything changed. Chapter 2. The Man Behind the Curtain. The drive home was silent, except for the low hum of traffic. Jason kept his eyes on the road, jaw tight, saying nothing. Not until we reached the same apartment I had raised him in, the same place I still lived, even though he could have easily afforded something far better. As I reached for the door key, his voice broke the silence. "I saw it, Dad." I froze. The nameplate. I saw it before you did. I was standing to the side, watching, waiting to see what they'd do. I turned toward him, confused. "Then why didn't you stop them? Why not say something right away?" He met my eyes. There was pain there, raw, deep, because I needed to know if they'd really do it. If they'd actually humiliate the man who raised me on my wedding day. He pulled out his phone, tapped the screen, and handed it to me. It was a video, secretly recorded. The bride's father laughing as he passed a gold pen to a cousin. Her mother chuckling about trailer trash joining the family. And the worst part, Jason's bride herself, nodding, smiling. "My real father's the one I'm marrying," she joked. "That plumber guy? He's just a formality." My heart sank. But Jason? He was calm, ice cold. "I never told you this, but I didn't sign the prenup," he said. I blinked. "You didn't." He shook his head. "They pushed hard. Her dad even offered to invest in my startup if I signed. But by then, I'd already built something." He paused, then continued. "Quietly with a friend, I started a tech security firm. That's why I kept living modestly. I didn't want the attention." He looked away briefly before finishing. "Last year, we were acquired. Straight cash deal. I made more than I ever thought possible. Enough to buy out and bury their entire company if I wanted to." I had to sit down. Jason's expression hardened. They thought they were marrying into money. Thought I was some clueless trophy. But I had my own plans. He opened his laptop, fingers flying across the keyboard. "Tomorrow," he said, "they're going to learn exactly who they tried to humiliate. And by the time I'm done, that family will regret ever mocking the man who raised me. Chapter 3. The Turning Point. The next morning, I stepped into the kitchen to find Jason already dressed in a crisp navy suit. The coffee maker gurgled behind him, filling the room with the scent of fresh brew, but the pot sat untouched. He turned to me with a firm expression. "Today," he said, "they find out who you really are to me. Not some pretend father, but the man who made me who I am." He handed me a folder. I opened it and found company documents, financial records, and ownership certifications. It was about the Westbourne Hospitality Group, his bride's family empire. They ran a chain of upscale hotels and fine dining establishments. But buried beneath the glamour, they were hemorrhaging money. What stunned me more was what Jason revealed next. Over the past year, he'd been quietly purchasing shares through anonymous shell corporations. Methodically, relentlessly. I looked up, stunned. "You already have a stake in their business?" Jason gave a tight smile. "Try 48%. And by 9 a.m. today, I'll own the majority." 9:15 a.m., Westbourne Hospitality Headquarters. We stepped into the glass-paneled skyscraper together. The receptionists froze mid-conversation, their eyes wide. These were the same polished faces who had laughed at me at the wedding. Today, though, their confidence had vanished. The conference room was packed tight. Gregory Westbourne, her father, sat at the head of the long, glossy table, oozing arrogance. "What is this about?" he barked as Jason calmly took a seat. Jason placed a thick folder onto the table and looked around. "As of this morning, I hold 51% of Westbourne Hospitality. The documentation is here. You're free to have your legal team review it." For a moment, silence blanketed the room. Then, a rising wave of murmurs. Gregory snatched the folder with trembling fingers. His face drained of color as he read. You conniving little parasite." Jason didn't even blink. "No, Gregory. I'm the product of the man you all mocked. The plumber you laughed at. The fake father who worked every hour he could to make sure I had a future. The man who taught me character, discipline, and endurance." The room fell utterly still. Jason turned to the rest of the board. "Let me be clear. I have no interest in dismantling the company, for now. But as of this moment, Gregory, your daughter, your wife, and all immediate family members are officially terminated. Severance packages will be mailed." A wave of gasps swept the room. Gregory surged to his feet. Fury painted across his face. "You can't do this. This company is mine." Jason's voice stayed level. "It was yours. Now it belongs to the man you tried to degrade. Through me." He nodded toward me, then stood and walked out beside me, leaving the Westbourne speechless, their empire in ruin. That evening, Jason and I sat quietly on the balcony, watching the sky burn with shades of orange and purple as the sun sank behind the skyline. "You didn't have to do all that for me," I said softly. He looked over and smiled. "I didn't do it for you, Dad. I did it because of you. Everything I've accomplished, every step I've taken, was built on your belief in me when no one else gave me a chance." My throat tightened. He reached into his jacket pocket. "Happy belated birthday," he added with a grin. "Next year, we'll celebrate the right way." Chapter 4. One Final Knock. 2 weeks later, the story had spread like wildfire across local news, finance blogs, even national media. Headlines read, "Groom humiliates elite in-laws in corporate takeover." From janitor's son to boardroom power broker, Jason, once sneered at, was now a rising star, receiving invitations to speak at investment conferences and leadership summits. As for Emily, his bride, she vanished from the digital world. Her once curated Instagram filled with mimosas and beach vacations had gone dark. Whispers spread that she and her family were now under legal scrutiny, accused of embezzlement and unethical corporate behavior. Then, on a stormy evening, there was a knock at Jason's door. Emily stood on the doorstep, rain dripping from her hair, mascara streaking down her cheeks, clutching a drenched designer purse. "Jason," she croaked, "I made a mistake. I was pressured. My parents always made me feel like you weren't good enough, like your father wasn't worthy." Before she could finish, Jason cut her off, his voice calm. firm. You mean the same man you mocked, the one who owns this very roof you're standing under? She looked past him and saw me on the couch. Mr. Carter, she whispered, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I raised my hand, stopping her mid-sentence. No, you're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry it didn't go the way you planned. She stiffened. Jason reached into his pocket and pulled out a small envelope. Your parents signed this when they were desperate to sell their remaining shares. It includes a clause that permanently bars anyone in your family, including you, from ever working with or owning stock in any Westbourne-related business. He handed it to her. Tears filled her eyes. Jason, please, can't we just talk? He looked at her one final glance. You had your chance to talk. You chose to mock me instead of love me. You chose public shame over private respect. Now I choose silence over second chances. Then he closed the door. Quietly. Completely. Epilogue legacy. 1 year later, Jason launched a scholarship initiative aimed at supporting students from working-class families. He named it the Carter Foundation, in my honor. At the opening ceremony, the city's mayor asked him, what inspired this? Jason pointed to me, seated in the front row. That man right there, the one they mocked for fixing pipes. The one who taught me that true value isn't measured by degrees or wealth, but by integrity, resilience, and heart. The room erupted into applause. And for the first time in my life, I felt like the wealthiest man on earth. Was this poetic justice? What would you have done? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like the story, share it with someone who needs to hear this. And don't forget to subscribe to Lauren's Story for more unforgettable tales of betrayal, justice, and redemption. Because here, every lie meets its reckoning. Every betrayal finds its shadow. Stay sharp. Stay strong. Stay tuned